Hello, Commander. The war continues at great cost. We now believe another force is at work against us. If not dealt with swiftly, it could destroy us.
Je bent oké voor de uitbreiding van XCOM Enemy Unknown, XCOM Enemy Within. En we gaan praten met Ananda, de lead designer van XCOM Enemy Within. So, Enemy Within, tell me a little bit about it. Why an expansion pack for Enemy Unknown?
So, with XCOM Enemy Within, at Firaxis we like to do big expansions for our games. You know, strategy games that we make are very layered. They're very engaging. They have a lot of play to them, and so big expansion packs make a lot of sense. And that's worked very well for Civ. And so we thought, well, let's do that for XCOM Enemy Unknown as well. Let's make XCOM Enemy Within. And so with XCOM Enemy Within, we took that approach. Right, it's not a prequel. It's not an additional expansion of the story onto the end. You are confronting the same alien invasion you did before, but with more stuff, with more soldiers, items, weapons, enemies. All these things have been added. New maps, lots of environments to fight on. The stage is the same, but the actors are different. Right, there are more actors and more props and more sets. And so we with the XCOM Enemy Within, the new soldiers that we're adding in particular. Things like the mech trooper, right? It's a new class, a new soldier class, a 5th class with its own training tree and his own set of armor, the mech suit, mechanized exoskeletal cyber suit. It is customizable with lots of different tactical subsystems. The mech troopers have their own weapon line. It starts with a minigun and gets progressively more destructive and dangerous. And we are also looking at, we also have genetic modifications for the soldiers. The genetic modifications, you build a genetics lab in your base, and then you can subject your soldiers for genetic modification and gain access to otherworldly abilities, things based on your alien autopsy research.
I just played the demo. The mechs are a completely new way of playing the game, I guess, without cover and more offensive, I guess.
That's right. Mechs are definitely occupy a unique role in the battlefield since they don't use cover and they go through ammunition very quickly. So you have to be careful about how you use them, but when used correctly, they are devastating. You know, the proper use of the flamethrower, of saving up your ammunition and taking the right shots. These are very important to learning how to use mechs properly. They are not going to be simply a hammer that you can use to bludgeon the enemy into submission. You have to think about how to use them.
Yeah, I played 2 rounds. The first one I lost because I was really tempted of using the mechs as like just go in and then slamming everybody.
Against weak opponents, yes, certainly they can be very quick to wipe the battlefield, but you have to be careful when they're dealing, especially against one of the new enemies, which is the mechtoid, right? The sectoid from the original game, he comes back in a mech suit, and he is not very happy about the things you were doing to his friends in the beginning of the game, and so he is a very powerful and dangerous enemy. He has twin plasma cannons. He can receive a psi shield when he is mind merged with another sectoid, and yeah, he will pose difficulties for your mechs.
The genetic modifications I saw in the presentation, you can make one of your troops jump higher. What else can they do, for instance?
Oh yeah, so one of my favorites is the skin modifications. You can genetically modify the skin of your soldiers. One choice is what we call mimetic skin. Mimetic skin is like a chameleon skin, where if the soldier ends up in high cover, they will blend in and not be seen by enemies. So it's like a very stealthy kind of skin upgrade. But if you don't like that, or you already have some of that, you can get bioelectric skin. Bioelectric skin is like an electric eel field that lets you detect the electric fields of nearby enemies. So they'll show up as these sort of electric fields nearby in the fog of war or on the other side of walls. And this can really help you. It combos very well with the mech, right? I see that there is an alien behind that wall using bioelectric skin. I will use collateral damage to destroy the wall, and now the alien is exposed.
XCOM Enemy Unknown wasn't an easy game, but you got eased into all the new parts. Will it be the same with Enemy Within, or do you have to have played Enemy Unknown?
You don't have to have played Enemy Unknown. We have updated, for people who are completely new to XCOM, we have updated the tutorial. So now the tutorial for XCOM incorporates elements of Enemy Within to make sure that people understand what they're getting into. For people who are coming back, they do not need to play the tutorial again. We have a very small single mission tutorial that will explain the most important elements of tactical change in Enemy Within, and even that can be skipped on subsequent playthroughs by people who buy the expansion. That tutorial is primarily about Meld, which is the new resource that we're adding. And the way that works is it will show up in these canisters that are sort of randomly placed around the maps, and they have self-destruct timers on them. And so those timers will start ticking down, and then will go off, and you need to make sure that you get to those canisters before those timers expire, or you will be a little slower to get the meld that you need for these to pay for mechs and genetic modifications.
So it's an extra tactical point, as in making a choice between going for an enemy or going for the meld, and defensive.
Yes, exactly. It's how aggressive are you going to be? You know, this is a reason to be a little more aggressive than you might normally be.
How big is it compared to Enemy Unknown in time?
In time?
In playtime, I mean, or?
Oh, so I think players. So we're adding a lot of new maps and all these new options. I think players will get at least 2 or 3 new playthroughs out of it, just based on the mechs and the gene mods, and trying to get all of the explore all of the possible combinations there. But one thing that we added that I think extends the replayability almost indefinitely is we added a new second wave option called Training Roulette. And Training Roulette randomly determines your soldiers' skill trees. So you will roll, so for abilities that don't really depend on what kind of weapon load that soldier has, so for example, it's still the case that only the heavy can fire rockets, but your heavy might end up with tactical sense. He might end up with lightning reflexes. He might end up with field medic, right? He might end up with all sorts of random skills, and your next heavy will have a different load, right? And so your soldiers, it gives almost unlimited replayability in terms of, well, I don't know what my soldiers are going to be. I don't know if I'm going to have any good training trees this time, or this soldier has a really good training tree, has very bad stats because I'm also playing with random stats. And so I think that is something that players will really get a lot of time playing.
We also have the Bureau recently. Aren't you a little bit afraid about maybe an overlap or an overload of XCOM for some people? Or?
Oh, no, you can't have too much XCOM. No. I think the Bureau, I haven't had a chance to play the Bureau yet, but I'm looking forward to it. It came out the first day of Gamescom when I was already here. I'm looking forward to playing it, and I think Sharp. We talked a little bit with 2K Marin, and when they were working on it, and I think sharp-eyed players will see some shout-outs, little bits here and there in Enemy Within that will sort of point to the Bureau's backstory.
That's nice.
So check out the database.
Well, I guess that's it for us. Thank you very much for the interview.
Thanks for watching.